I'm down here in my wife's studio today looking at my favorite painting of hers, which makes me just want to, string out my hammock in front of one of these houses and take it easy with no telephone and cars and internet or anything like that. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. In fact, I'm here to talk about exactly the opposite. I'm here to talk about time management and why you're probably not very good at managing time. But there is method to my madness. There is a connection, because I think this painting exemplifies why we're not very good as human beings at managing our time. If you think about the history of humankind, you're going to know that about 25 to 27,000 years of our history we spent in settings like this. Little towns, little villages, where we got up in the morning, worked in the garden, worked on the farm, until it got dark, and then went to bed and repeated the same thing over and over again until we died, basically. The way that time works in that kind of environment is not the way that time works nowadays with the internet and with all the other garbage we have going on. It's cyclical, it works by the seasons, it works by the sun. You don't have to worry about setting your agenda and meetings and stuff, because everybody's more or less close by and they're all relatives and you understand one another. And besides, what are you gonna put on your agenda? You just get up, you work, you go to bed, and once or twice a year you have some parties, and that's about it. If you look back before this painting, that is to say during the hunter-gatherer phase of human development, which most anthropologists would agree lasted between 1 million and 1,500,000 years, most of the time we were just wandering around. Wake up in the morning. These were, and most of the time, of course, the hunter-gatherers were in temperate climes, because they didn't know how to make, fur coats or anything for most of human history. So you wake up with the sun, and when you got hungry, you'd go to the coconut tree or to the banana bush, or down to the creek to try to catch a fish or a frog or something. And once you ate, you'd relax until you got hungry again, or until an animal chased you around, and that was it. Again, time was not very specific. It was not measurable. It was not a commodity. And although even today we all have only 24 hours a day, we have the same amount of time, it wasn't a resource. It wasn't seen as a resource. Time only became an important resource with the coming of the Industrial Revolution, which at the latest took about 200 to 300 years in Europe. And now there are parts of the world where people have come from this environment into a postmodern world within a generation. And if you think that's confusing, you're right. It's confusing. It makes time management very, very difficult for cultures which have an agrarian tradition. And so you think, divide 300 by 1.5 million, put 300 over 1.5 million, and you can understand that our physical and social and cultural development is not very consistent with the need to chop up time in little different pieces and to account for it and to control it, to organize it. On the other hand, those people who do organize their time effectively, and that is not the majority of the population. My estimate is that the people who really manage their time well is a very small minority. But it does mean that people who manage their time well have a tremendous competitive advantage in our society, and our society showers them with gifts and resources. So, no guilt anymore. Now you understand why you're not all that great at watching the clock and why it's a problem. You also understand it is important. In subsequent videos, I'll give you a bunch of information about the different strategies for managing time, about the different levels of ability with time. I see 4 of them. But just so I won't leave you hanging in this video, let me suggest 3 things that you can do to improve the quality of your time management. Thing number 1, set aside 3 hours a day, turn off the phone, tell the secretary to take a hike, hold your calls, tell everybody to go away, find a little place like this where you can hide out and do what you think is the most important thing that you can do as a human being that day. The most important. You take your gifts and the environment you live in and mix them together and decide what you think is most important. And do it for 3 hours a day uninterrupted. Second, then make a list of about 10 things. Just junk that you have to do. Bills and meeting with people and taxes and buying stuff and writing reports and stuff. And work on that about 10. Don't try to do 20. Don't try to do 5. You can do 10. If you can do that every day, you're going to get a heck of a lot done of the stuff that needs being done. And finally, spend 20 minutes a day meditating so that you don't go crazy. Meditation or some other spiritual practice like that has a tremendous benefit, puts things in perspective, and actually once you leave your meditative state, it's great to do it in the morning, you're probably ready to sit down and kind of plan your day. Do those 3 things in addition to or despite any other time management system you have, and I guarantee you will become more productive than you are presently. Good luck. I've got to run.